Do you know what is Neobehaviorism?
No?
Do you know who is Edward Chase Stallman? Do you guys know what is latent learning according to Stallman? Do you know who is Albert Bandura and his experiment?
No.
Do you know what are cognitive maps?
No. Learning that because we are here to teach more you.
So what are you waiting for, guys?
Let's go!
New theories came into view which maintained some of the behaviorist concepts but excluded others, and added new ideas which later came to be associated with the cognitive views of learning. The neo-behavior then were a transitional group, bringing the gap between behaviorism and cognitive theories of learning. Edward Chase Stallman was an American psychologist and a professor of psychology at the University of California, Berkeley. Through Stallman's theories and works, he founded what is now a branch of psychology known as purposive behaviorism. Stallman's latent learning refers to learning that is not reinforced and not demonstrated until there is motivation to do so. Stallman argued that the rats have formed a cognitive map of the maze but did not demonstrate this knowledge until they received reinforcement. Examples of this is that a child watches his brother ride a bike and he can also ride one when he has his own bike already. A new student gazes on his classmate wearing their uniforms and he can already wear one when it is already done by the tailor. The mother demonstrates to her daughter how to properly iron their clothes. The daughter could use that knowledge when she will go to iron her clothes. A cognitive map is a mental picture or image of the layout of a physical environment and any visual representation of a person's or a group's mental model for a given process or concept. Cognitive maps have no visual rules that they need to obey. There is no restriction on how the concepts and the relationships between them are visually represented. Humans rely on mental maps to store knowledge of places and routes in order to engage in travel and activities. People use their cognitive maps to decide where to go and how to get there. These are examples of cognitive maps. A driver going home from work on a learned path without GPS. Next, your knowledge of various routes in your hometown. Lastly, when a friend asks your directions to your house, you are able to create an image in your mind of the roads, places to turn, and landmarks. Albert Bandura was a Canadian-born American psychologist and originator of social cognitive theory who is probably best known for his modeling study on aggression, referred to as the Bobodol experiment, which demonstrated that children can learn behaviors through the observation of adults. The Bobodol experiment in 1961 is a study in which researchers physically and verbally abuse a clown-faced inflatable toy in front of preschool-aged children, which led the children to later mimic the behavior of the adults by attacking the doll in the same fashion. Subsequent experiments in which children were exposed to such violence on videotape yielded similar results. Hence, it becomes clear that the observational learning concept is derived from the famous Bobodol experiment. From this experiment, Bandura concluded that children learn behavior by watching the people around them. This is known as social learning theory. The famous Bobodol experiment conducted by Albert Bandura in 1961 is still widely cited and highly relevant today. It lends support to Bandura's social learning theory, which claims that learning occurs through observation and imitation of other behaviors. Bandura's social learning theory provides a helpful framework for understanding how an individual learns via observation and modeling. According to Bandura, the violent behavior of the adult models toward adults led to children believe that such actions were acceptable. He also suggested that as a result, children may be inclined to respond to frustration with aggression in the future.
Social learning theory, often described as a bridge between traditional learning theory and the cognitive approach. This focuses on how mental cognitive factors are involved in learning. Bandura believes that humans are active information processors and think about relationships between their behavior and its consequences. Observational learning could not occur unless cognitive processes were at work. Individuals do not automatically observe that behavior of a model and imitate it. There is some thought prior to imitation, and this consideration is called mediational process. This occurs between observing the behavior stimulus and imitating it or not responding. So there are four mediational processes. First, attention. Second, retention. Third, reproduction. And lastly, motivation. Attention. Retention. Reproduction. It is ability to perform the behavior that the model had just demonstrated. Imitation may always be possible because we are limited by our physical abilities. Motivation. Social learning approach. Deciding if a behavior is to imitate or not. We have a lot of cognitive control over our behavior. Not because we had experiences of violence does not mean we have reproduced such behavior. We are always free to neglect behaviors from the models that surround us. Implications of social learning theory on teachers and students' learning. Positive behaviors. In conclusion, observation plays a very powerful role in learning. It does not only help to teach students but helps them to successfully understand, retain, and apply their learning. Learning is always purposive and goal-directed according to Tolman and Bandura. Cognitive process promotes learning to pupils and teaching new concepts. Learners may have their interest to fill in the knowledge they want.